Now, two big NATO powers, France and Germany, have said that Ukraine should be allowed to hit military sites inside Russia, but only those Russian sites from which missiles are being fired at Ukrainian territory, not other targets. French President Emmanuel Macron further clarified he is not escalating by extending his support to Ukraine, since it is Russia that is organizing itself in this way.
So we're staying exactly within the same framework. We think that we should allow them to neutralize the military sites from which the missiles are fired, and basically the military sites from which Ukraine is attacked. But we must not allow them to hit other targets in Russia, obviously civilian capabilities or other military targets.
Civiles ou d'autres cibles militaires.
Interestingly, just 2 days after speaking out against Ukraine using weapons provided by Western allies to strike Russia, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz also backed Macron. During a joint news conference in Germany, he said as long as Ukraine respected the conditions laid out by countries that supplied the weapons, it was allowed to defend itself. Though Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned the West that NATO members in Europe are playing with fire by proposing to let Ukraine use Western-supplied weapons to strike inside Russia.
Representatives of NATO countries, especially in Europe, especially in the small countries, they should be aware of what they are playing with. They should remember that as countries with small, densely populated territories. And this is a factor that they should keep in mind before talking about striking Russian territory.
Speaking during a state visit to Uzbekistan, Putin directly accused the US of wanting a global conflict. He said the ground offensive being carried out by Moscow's forces in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region is the result of Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory.
Everything now revolves around the events on the approaches to Kharkiv. So it was them who provoked these events in this direction. 6 months ago, I publicly said, if they continue to strike residential areas and neighborhoods, we will be forced to create security zones. And just recently, I said so. We moved on to this.
Immediate steps to protect aid workers on the ground and to demonstrate that they have that.
Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Ambassador Volker Stanzel. He is the former German ambassador to China and Japan. Ambassador Volker, thank you so much for joining us here on WION again. I want to ask you, given the recent developments that we are seeing, how do you see the war in Ukraine progressing here on?
Well, it is a situation where I'd say Ukraine is really in dire straits. It experiences significant setbacks since the beginning of this year, both losing territory and losing manpower. Country with a much smaller population anyway than Russia is. So the only sensible way out, I think, is it has to hold the line and repel new Russian aggression until Russia is truly ready to negotiate. I mean, now we will have a peace conference on Ukraine and the war next month in Switzerland, and Russia so far has declined the invitation. This is not the way to start negotiations.
Ambassador Stanzel, we are seeing two very big NATO powers, France and Germany, saying that Ukraine should be allowed to hit military sites inside Russia. Now, this is contradicting to what the West has been saying since the war has started. What is your take on that?
Yes, both the United States and European countries so far have not permitted Ukraine to use arms provided by their Ukrainian supporters on targets inside Russia, even though maybe attacks had been started from those sites. And the reason was quite obvious. We did want to show to Russia that neither the US nor Europeans are wanting a war, an all-out war between Europe and Russia. So this was a signal to be reluctant in conducting this war. But Russia on its side has moved even more aggressively against European countries as well, with something that we call asymmetrical warfare, like cyber attacks and other moves. So it is really the time to support President Zelensky when he asks to be permitted to attack also sites inside Russia.
Right. Ambassador Stanzel, since you say that this is the time to support the Ukrainian president as well as the country, I want to take you back to a statement that Joe Biden, the US president, has been making since the war started, that as long as it takes, and I'm quoting him, they will stand with Ukraine. Given what's happening in Ukraine right now, do you think the West has failed?
Well, I think the war went well at the beginning, and that led to the delusion among supporters of Ukraine that it may be over soon. And a statement like the one you quoted from President Biden expresses that kind of early optimism, which was unfounded, as we now have come to realize. Russia is moving ahead in its aggressive moves against Ukraine, and it needs more support.
All right,
and let me add.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, let me add that it is precisely Germany and France that now lead the way, which is very important because inside Europe, I mean, 27 countries, it was very difficult to find unity on how to move, how to support Ukraine. But by showing the way it should go, and the German Chancellor has underlined that this is within the framework of international law, I think this will move other European countries as well to act in the same way.
All right, Ambassador, thank you so much for getting us all those insights. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.